To start with today's class. So last class we were talking about different backup modes and what are the advantages and disadvantages. So as you are looking currently on the table, full backup having the disadvantage that it requires shutdown of the database. And when it comes to hot backup, we have two disadvantages. One is inconsistent backup, and the second one is more number of redo entries will be generated. And the third one is export. As I said earlier, export is not a backup, but if at all you lost a table and all, probably you can make use of this export backup. And the disadvantages with export backup is if at all any data file is lost, then it is not possible for us to recover because in export we will be taking the backup of only the tables and the number of rows. So physical file recovery is not possible through export backup. And to overcome all these things, we have admin in place. Recovery manager is the full form, and shortly we call it as admin. So it is one of the backup methodology that Oracle has introduced, and it is having so many advantages over cold or hot backup what we saw till now. So let us go through those things so that we will understand what exactly is admin and how exactly it is going to work and all those things. So the first thing is admin got introduced in the version 8.0, and if you take cold and hot backup, those are basically file level backups. So what I mean to say is you are going to take data files copy, then redevelop files copy, then control files, then archives, etc., etc. So basically you are copying the files, the physical files from one location to another location. So we call basically cold and hot backup as a file level backup, and the export is a table level backup. Why? Because even though you say full equals to y, it is going to export all the tables and the number of rows inside the table. So that's the reason even export we can consider it as export is basically going for table level backup. But when it comes to Arman is going to do block level backup. So whenever you initiate Arman in order to take the backup of database, Arman is going to take only the used blocks inside the database. So that means suppose I have a 10 GB of data file, and out of 10 GB of data file, if the used data or used space is only 7 GB, then Arman is going to take backup of only that 7 GB, and it will ignore the rest of 3 GB, because the 3 GB is anyway free space, and Arman will not consider that to take the backup. So that means instead of taking a 10 GB file, it is going to take the backup of only 7 GB, by which automatically the backup size will be reduced. And when backup size got reduced, automatically backup time also will be reduced. Like to take backup of 10 GB data file, if it's taking some time, and to take the backup of 7 GB, it will take very less time than 10 GB. So automatically when the backup size is reducing, backup time also is going to reduce. So that means the functionality of Arman, means how Arman behaves, that itself will be the advantage for the databases. So because it is taking the backup of only used blocks. So that is the first and foremost point about Arman. And usually how Arman is going to, when we initiate Arman, how it is going to take the backup is, whenever you initiate to take the backup of Arman, then Arman is going to data file header, And in data file header, we know that we will be having user block information in the form of a table which we call it as bitmap block. So R1 will go to the table and it will scan the table and it will identify what are all the user blocks inside the data file, and accordingly it will take the backup of only those user blocks. So that is how Arman is going to work for all the data files. So if we have 10 data files in the database, for each and every data file it will go to the header part, and in the header part it will scan the data file bitmap block. So after scanning bitmap block, it will understand what are all the user blocks that are available, and based on that it is going to take the backup of only those user blocks. So that is how Arman is going to work while taking the backup of the database. So that is what it is mentioned in points 1 and 2. So anybody is having query before we proceed further? So as we saw just now, sorry. So the advantage of Arman itself, the functionality of Arman itself is the advantage, because Arman is going to take only user blocks, then automatically the backup size and the backup time will be reduced. So apart from that, there are so many advantages for Arman. So let us go and look into those advantages. So out of those advantages, or some of the advantages are listed in point number 3. So starting with the block level backup, that is the functionality. So as I said, the functionality of the Arman itself is the advantage, and the number 2 is parallelism. So you can have parallelism in place. That means if you say parallelism of 10, for example, then there will be 10 different Arman processes, and all these 10 processes can take backup of 10 data files at a time. So the more number of processes you create, the more number of data files will be scanned at a time, and this will automatically improve the speed of taking the backup. So that is one advantage that we have. And the next one is duplexing with archives. So usually in real time we will maintain only one archive destination, but for suppose we maintain two archive destinations, means archives are generating into two locations instead of one location. And suppose if you are taking backup through Arman, so using Arman you can take backup of archives also. So if you are taking backup of archives using Arman, and you identified that in one of the first destination file is not existing, or archeolog file got corrupted, or any such reason, then Arman can automatically switch to the second destination and it can take the archive backup from there. So that means if you are having multiple archive destinations, and in any one of the destination, if the original file or the archeolog file is corrupted, then it is going to take the backup from another destination. So and this will be done automatically without any DBA intervention, and this we call it as duplexing of archives. And the next one we have is detection of conflicting data files. So if at all your data file is corrupted due to some reason, then normally when you take cold or hot backup, it is not going to give you any information about that. But whereas Arman, because it scans the data file, so it will tell you if at all your data file is corrupted, and accordingly you can take some action. And the next advantage that we have is the very latest one, that is validating the backup. So once you take cold or hot backup, normally we don't have a chance to verify whether my backup is valid one or not. But whereas in Arman we can do that with the help of a single command. So you can actually check whether your backup is a perfect one or not with the help of a simple command in Arman. That is one wonderful advantage that we have in fact. And next we have incremental backup, and the next advantage is recovery catalog. So we will be discussing about these two at later point of time. So and that's the reason I am skipping at this moment. So next we need to look into the components of Arman. So whenever you want to take a backup of a database through Arman, what are all the components that will be involved? So we need to have a look on that. So which are mentioned in point number 4. So the first one is Arman executable file. So I mean it is basically an Arman prompt through which you will be initiating Arman commands. So using those Arman commands, you will be taking the backup of the database, then you will be validating the backup, and you can do so many other actions also. So that is one advantage. And the second component that we have is target database, which is nothing but the database which we want to take backup. So for suppose if my database name is ABC and I want to take a backup of that, then ABC will become my target database. So whichever database I want to take backup, that database will become target database. And auxiliary database, as you are seeing on the screen, it is a cloned copy of target database. So usually when we do cloning of this database from one server to another server and all, we will be using this concept of recovery catalog, sorry, auxiliary database. And then we have recovery catalog. More about recovery catalog and auxiliary database we will be looking into. So here just some abbreviations or a single line definitions. So basically recovery catalog means it is a repository database where you are going to store R1 backup information. So more we will understand at later point of time. So that's why I am not stressing much on those two. And the next one we have is media management layer. So this is basically responsible in order to interact with the tape drive, and if at all you want to take the backup directly to tape. So usually in real time you will be having two options in order to take the backup. The first one is disk. So we can take our backup into disk, and the second option is we can take the backup into tape. So tape means it's just like an magnetic tape, or you can assume of the audio cassette. So I hope every one of you might have a look at audio cassette. Earlier days before CDs and all, we used to have that. So its tape is also going to look in a similar way. So it is also going to look like an audio cassette with with the tape bundled out, and you can take the backup into that particular tape. And even today also, people are preferring to take the backup to tapes instead of disk. The reason is its reliability. So because you can use the tapes again and again. So how we can record a song again and again on a single audio cassette. And so in the same way, you can have one particular tape, and every day you can use the same tape again and again. So basically the reliability or the lifespan of the tape is very higher than the disk. So that's the reason basically more than disk, people will prefer to take the backup into tapes. But this may not be implemented in all the environments. because it depends on the cost investment also. So if you want to go for a tape, then you need to have a device like tape drive, which is like a tape recorder. So if you have an audio cassette, then to play that or to record that, you need some device like tape recorder. So similar way, if you have a tape, then you need to have a device called a tape drive. So basically to write the data or to read the data, etc. So that will be an investment again for the client. So it depends on client. Some clients will prefer to have tapes as their backup locations, and some clients will prefer to have disk itself as the backup location. So whenever you are using tape as the backup location, then this component called media management layer will come into picture, and basically it is going to interact with the tape drive in order to take the backup successfully. And that is what fifth point is saying. In real time, we will take the backup to tapes and manage these tapes. So there will be a separate team. So whoever is managing these tapes, like who will be inserting the tape, who will be removing the tape from the tape drive, or doing other actions. So basically there will be a team for that, and we call it as net backup team, or just backup team, or storage team. So whatever be the name that you call it as. So what is their responsibilities? They are used to, or they take the responsibility is to manage the tapes, like inserting, then removing, etc., and even to monitor. For example, Oracle is writing backup to that particular tape, then they need to monitor whether it is writing correctly or not, or at what level it is proceeding. They can do lot many actions, and for this they will be using a software which we generally call it as uh, net backup software, and the very widely used software is Veritas 6.5. So that is what I listed in point number 5, because sometimes in interviews they will ask you what is the backup software that you are using in your organization. Then you need to answer it as Veritas 6.5. So apart from Veritas 6.5, there are so many other softwares also available in the market, but this is almost 90% used in real time. So that's the reason even in interviews and all, we can answer the same way. And sixth point says archeolog mode should be enabled in order to take Armin backup. So just like hot backup, here also first of all archeolog mode should be enabled, otherwise you can't perform Armin backup on a database. So that is one more important point that we need to remember. And then we have Armin configuration parameters. So we will see what are these parameters. But well before that, anybody is having any queries? So first let us go and see how we will be connecting to Armin and all those things. Later we will come back and we will discuss about this configuration parameters. Okay. So when we have a putty session, how we will be connecting to Armin is using a command armin target /. So what it means is, Armin means it is a command which will take you to Armin prompt. Target is nothing but target database. As I said, which database you want to take backup, that we call it as target database. And the / means you want to connect as sysdba. And always to Armin we will be connecting as sysdba only. So the very first time when you run this command, it is going to give you some warning like this. So it says can't open target, and this is because of a simple change that we have. So even I have listed this in my blog also. So means what are the steps that we need to follow in order to avoid this warning. So basically when you get this warning can't open target, then first you need to say echo $path, and when you type echo $path, you will be seeing some long path like this, and under this you would be observing something like USR X11 R6 bin, and at the end you will be seeing your Oracle home/bin location. So the problem here is when you have this X11 R6 bin well before this UG1 well before your Oracle home/bin location, then Oracle will throw this particular error. So this USR X11 R6 bin should reside always after your Oracle home/bin location. So what we are going to do is we are going to do a small change here. So let us have a look. So first you need to type echo $path, then you will be getting a bigger path like this. Then you need to say export path equals to copy till this UXR like X11 R6 bin, and leaving that line or leaving that phrase, copy the rest of the line and put a colon mark, and now copy USR X11 R6 bin at the end of the file. So basically what you are doing is you are going to copy entire thing, but this USR X11 R6 bin you are going to place at the end of the line. And once you do that, now this particular command will work. But if you want to make this permanent, then you need to write down this line into bash profile file. So what I am doing is, after I set this export path equals to so and so, I will be opening bash profile file, and in this file you would be observing something like this. So when you open your own bash profile file in your laptops or PCs, you would be finding out like this. Then here you need to comment this line. So whatever earlier existing with path equals to so and so, you need to comment that line. Then you need to open a new line and paste the export a line or whatever you have copied, whatever you have typed here, you need to just copy and paste it here in this bash profile file, and then save this file. So after saving the file, you need to execute the file by saying dot space dot bash underscore profile, and now if you type armand target slash, it is going to work. So you can see here it is saying connected to target database. So so when you get this warning, what you need to do is first you need to say echo $path, then you would be getting a line for you. Then you need to say export path equals to copy entire content as it is, leaving this USR X11 R6 bin, and this you need to copy at the end of the line. To make this change permanent, you need to copy this line, export path equals to so and so, open your bash profile file. Inside bash profile file, whatever is existing path variable is there, you need to comment that, and you need to add this line to bash profile file, and after saving bash profile file, execute it once, and now your command armand target slash will start working out. So if you want steps and all, you can refer to my blog also. There also I posted an article mentioning all these steps. And before we start with, we have a query here. Okay, so as I said, there will be a separate team for managing the tapes, and we call it as net backup team or backup team generally. So their job is to insert the tapes or to remove the tapes from the tape drive, or they will be monitoring the backup jobs also. So whenever you are taking the backup into tapes, basically they need to monitor how much percentage it is completed and how much percentage it is not completed, etc. Or if any error is there while writing down into tape, they need to identify what is that error. So lot many things are there. So usually DBAs are not responsible in monitoring or handling those tasks. So there will be a separate team which we call it as net backup team or backup team. So it is their responsibility to have a look or manage these tapes. So that is what it is about. Every time we don't require to specify these steps. It is a one-time activity. Like once you set in batch profile file, it will be permanent, and every time you don't require to do this. In my blog, just you can type this in the search, and you will get those things. Or you can type this in Google and say plus Power DBA, then also you will get the same article. So any more doubts from anyone before we start with the next? Okay. So here, after you do all these changes, if you say admin target slash, you can see there is a message which says connected to target database. But at the same time, it is also saying that database is not started. So what is one advantage Oracle gives you is some of the SQL commands you can and one more thing you can observe is you have been taken to R1 prompt. So just like when you say SQL plus, it will take you to SQL prompt. Here it has taken you to R1 prompt. And what is one advantage Oracle provides you is you can issue some SQL commands in this R1 prompt itself. For example, now I want to start my database. Usually what we do to start the database, we will say SQL plus slash as sysdba, and then we will say startup. So this is what we do generally. But here the advantage with Rmin is here itself you can say startup. Here itself you can start up the database, and in Rmin prompt itself even you can shut down the database also. So that is one advantage we have with Rmin. Some of SQL commands you can use them at Rmin prompt itself. Okay, I'm facing some error here. But, some issue with this. So I have some issue with this server. Let me take another one. So here also the same issue is there. So let me follow the same steps. So now you can see when I say admin target slash it is connected. Now in this server already database is up and running. So that's the reason here it is going to give you the database name and even the DB ID. So DB ID is nothing but every database will have its own unique number assigned, and that we usually call it as DB ID. So even that will be shown to you. For example, if I want to shut down the database, I can issue shutdown command here. Okay, so it is saying something here. Cannot shut down file 1 has online backup set. Okay. Just give me a moment. Backup. So whenever you have this error, cannot shut down because file 1 has online backup set or something, might be somebody issued alter database begin backup while taking hot backup, and they forgot to mention this alter database end backup. So that's the reason you might get the error. So it is whenever you face this error, it is better to issue alter database end backup. Even though it throws this particular error, then only shut immediately is working. So now you can see it is working. So what I do is startup, I will be issuing it here. So as you can see in R1 prompt itself, I can issue startup and shutdown also. So that is one advantage that we have. And before we begin with any commands, let us talk about something called R1 configuration parameters. So to list down all the R1 configuration parameters, you are going to use the command show all. And in R1 always the commands end with semicolon. How DML or any SQL statements end with a semicolon sign. Even in R1 also the commands will end with a semicolon sign. So when you say show all, it is going to list down so many configuration parameters. So these are all, we call it as configuration parameters. Even though we don't require to understand about all of them, we need to understand about few of the configuration parameters. So starting with the first one, that is retention policy. So usually when we take a backup of a database in real time, how many days we will be storing that backup is 90 days or 60 days or 30 days. So if we take backup today, how many days till how many days the backup will be stored in the tape or the disk is till the next 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. It depends on client's requirement. Some clients will prefer to have 30 days, or some clients will prefer to have 60, 90 or 180 days also. That means 3 months, 6 months and all. You want that backup to be there in the disk or the tape drive. So that is what some clients requirement is. So depends on that you would be configuring this retention policy, and basically retention policy will be having two types. One is redundancy, what you are seeing on the screen. So redundancy, and by default the value is 1. So that means always you want only one backup to be there in the database. So whenever you have this retention policy set to redundancy of 1, what it means that always you want the backup, always you want only one backup to be there in the disk or the tape. So, but as I said, in real time we will not be using this one. because in real time we will be placing the backup for a long duration. So what we do in real time is we will be changing this to something called recovery window. So when you take retention policy, so retention policy is having two values. One is redundancy or the other one is recovery window. So redundancy means how many backups you can have, and recovery window means how many days you can have. So usually, as I said, in real time we would be using number of days. So what we do is we will be setting this retention policy to recovery window. So for example, if I want to change my retention policy to store for 90 days, so I need to set like this. So I'm just showing you how to change the configuration parameter. So configure retention policy to so this is what you are going to type. Configure retention policy to recovery window of 90 days. And so this command will go and change this configuration parameter. So once again, if you type show all, you can see earlier it was showing redundancy 1, now it is changed to recovery window of 90 days. So again, if you want to change this, so always it is possible. Suppose I want to change this to back to redundancy. So again I say redundancy of 1 or 3 or whatever it is. So for example, I am taking 3, and if you say show all, so now you can see it has again changed to redundancy of 3. So this is how we are going to change the configuration parameters. And one advantage Arman gives you is, normally in the beginning we discussed that Arman is going to take the backup of user blocks. That means Arman is a user block level backup. But apart from user block level backup, Arman can also take file level backup, like hot backup and cold backup. What we are doing, copying the data files, redo log files, control files, and all. Even you can do the same with Arman also. And we call that as image copy of the database. So whenever you are taking the backup of files, or whenever you are taking file level backup through Arman, suppose I have a data file which I have taken backup yesterday, and the same data file, I have a backup of a data file which I have taken yesterday using Arman, let's say, and from yesterday to today there was no change in the data file. Means no block was modified, no block got updated, deleted or inserted, any other modification happened. That means from yesterday to today there was no change in the data file. Now if there is no change in the data file, then it is unnecessary to take the backup today also. So for example, I have a data file of 10 GB. Yesterday I have taken the backup of this file 10 GB, and there are no modifications, then it is not required to take the backup today. So that means you can skip that data file. So if at all you want to do that, then you need to set this particular parameter to on. So there is a parameter called backup optimization. So that parameter by default will be off, and you need to turn that to on. So when you turn that to on, then automatically Oracle will skip the data files whenever you are taking file level backup. Now, but when it comes to real time, never we will be using this parameter. Why? Because when we have block level backup and its advantages, no DBA will prefer to go for file level backup again. So because when you go for file level backup, we saw some disadvantages in cold and hot backup. So by knowing that there is a disadvantage, no DBA will be preferring to go to file level backup using Arman. So that's the reason we will never use this parameter. But in case if you want to use it, just like how we changed the parameter value, you need to copy this backup optimization and you need to say on. So that is how you are going to, or that is the help of this backup optimization parameter. And the next one we have is default device type. So as I said earlier, using Arman you can take backup into disk or to tape drive also. So if at all you want to take into a disk, that is the default device as you can see on the screen. But if you want to take into tape, then you need to change this parameter once again. So you need to say configure default device type to SBT underscore tape. So where SBT stands for standard backup type. Sorry. So you'll be using this option if at all you want to change to tape. But in our practice and all, we need to rely on disk itself. We can't use tape drives over here. And next we have configure control file auto backup. So along with your database backup, if you want to take control file backup, you need to turn this parameter on. And it is one of the important steps that you do even in your practice also. Whenever you want to take backup and all, whenever you are using Armin for your practice or real time, it is a must that you need to set this parameter to on, because it will take automatically the backup of control files also. So otherwise it is not going to take the control file backup. So that is one important thing that we have. And when you turn on this control file auto backup, then it is going to specify, the next parameter is going to specify to which location or to which device this control file auto backup is going to happen. So here, if your default device type is disk, then your auto backup also should go to disk. So here you can see there is a disk, and here also there is disk. Suppose your default device type is tape here, then your auto backup also should go to tape here. So that is one thing. And the next parameter we have is parallelism. So by default parallelism is only 1, but if you say parallelism of 5, 10, 15 or whatever be the values, then automatically those number of processes will be created, and those number of what I say data files will be scanned at a time. For example, if I say parallelism of 3, then automatically every time 3 data files will be scanned, and once those 3 files completed, Oracle will go to the next 3 data files, like that. So I have changed the parallelism to 3. So now it has become parallel 3. And the rest of the configuration parameters we are not going to use in real time. So I am not going to concentrate on that. I am just skipping them. So anybody is having any queries regarding the configuration parameters what we saw till now? And just give me a moment, I will be back. Okay. So parallelism is nothing but, as I said, when you set parallelism to higher value, those many processes will be created, and they can take the backup of files parallelly. So let me show you that practically, then you will understand a more clear way. So let us start with the commands first. So if you want to take backup of the database in admin, then you would be using a very simple command, backup database. So this is the very first command that we are learning. So when you type backup database command, it is going to take the backup of the database, and because we set already parallelism equals to 3, then it is going to create 3 processes, and parallelly it will take the backup. So let us see that output first. So here you can see it will allocate 3 channels. So channel is nothing but a way to write into the backup location. So because I said parallelism equals to 3, you can see 3 channels allocated. And not only that, when I allocate 3 channels, see what it is doing. Channel number 1 is taking the backup of these 2 data files, and the channel number 2 is so channel number 2 is taking the backup of these 2 data files, and channel number 3 is taking the backup of these 2 data files. So if you observe here, totally in my database 6 data files are there, and Oracle what it has done, each channel it has taken 2 data files. That means these channels will get created based on parallelism value. So because I said parallelism equals to 3, then 3 channels allocated, and each channel has taken 2 data files. Suppose if I set to parallelism equals to 6, then what happens is 6 channels will be allocated, and each channel will take 1 data file. So at a time, so here what is happening is, at a time channel 1, channel 2 and channel 3 are taking the backup of these 6 data files. So this will speed up the process of taking the backup. So is that clear, Sanjay? Okay. And coming to the next question, we don't have any specific maximum value. We can set any value, but usually in real time we will be using, if very big database is there, we would be using parallelism of 20 or something like that. But if you have if you have terabytes of database, then you would be using parallelism of 20 and all. If you have any database between 300 GB to 1 terabyte and all, you would be using parallelism of 10 or something. And below 300 GB, you can use parallelism of 5, something like that. So there is no standard formula, or there is no maximum value, just we go by the values, that's it. So this is the command, backup database is the command in order to take the backup of the database. So anybody is having any queries? Okay. So the next command we have is backup archive all. So if you want to take the backup of archive logs, then this is the command you are going to use, backup archive log all. So this is going to take only the backup of archive logs. It is not going to touch anything regarding data files and control files. Okay, and I forgot to mention this point. So whenever you are executing these backup commands, where this backup is going to be stored. So this backup is going to be stored in a location called flash recovery area. So flash recovery area is the location, or the is a concept introduced in Oracle 10G onwards. So this location is basically, earlier also we saw the definition of flash recovery area. It is the location where actually the files required for recovery are going to store. Definitely to recover the database we require backup. So that's the reason Oracle is writing backup into RMAN backup into this flash recovery area location. And how it is writing you can see here. U01 or R10G flash recovery area is the location of flash recovery area. Under that Oracle is creating one directory with the database name, and under that it is creating one more subdirectory with the name backup set, and under that it is creating a directory once again with the today's date. So 2013 it is like a year, month and day format. Then it is writing some backup file. So this name whatever you are seeing O1 underscore MF underscore some name, so that is nothing your RMAN, nothing but your RMAN backup file, and this we call it as backup piece. So there are two terminologies in the RMAN. So whatever the file you are watching, that is called as backup piece, and we have one more terminology also, that is backup set. So backup set is nothing but group of backup pieces. So it's like a table space and a data files concept. How table space we say it is an alias name to a group of data files. Similar way, a backup set is nothing but a group of backup pieces. And in table space, you can see table space is logical, but the corresponding files are physical. So similar way, here backup set is logical and backup piece are physical. So if you have a look here, you have 1, then 2, 3 backup pieces, of course the fourth one also. So that means you have multiple backup pieces, but for all of them backup set will be same. So like that, before also you can see this is one backup piece, this is second backup piece, this is third backup piece, and this is fourth backup piece. But all these four combined together will be having only one backup set. So these are two terminologies that we have in RMAN. And Oracle thought why we need to have a separate command for backup, database backup and archive backup. So it came with a single command. So backup database plus archive log. So when you run this command, it is going to take the backup of database as well as archive logs in a single shot. Okay, fine. So here you can see it says cannot reclaim so and so space. So basically you will be landing up with this error whenever your flash recovery area size is limit is reached. So by default in 10G flash recovery area will have a size of 2 GB, and in 11G it is 3 GB or 4 GB. So basically whenever the 2 GB or 3 GB is filled, you will be landing up with this error. So what you need to do in such situations? So you need to increase that size. Let me show you how to increase it. For that you need to connect to database through SQL Plus, and there is a parameter called DB recovery file disk size, and you can see 2 GB here. So we need to use alter system set and use this parameter to some size whatever you wish, and you can say scope equals to both. So this is a dynamic parameter, so on the fly you can change the destination size. So you can see the new value 10 GB here. And now again if you go back to RMAN prompt and you execute the command backup database plus archive log, this time you won't get an error. Why? Because already you increased the flash recovery area size. So the steps on how to increase the flash recovery area size, it is there in your class notes also. So now you can see what it is doing. Because I said I want to take the database and archeolog, it is basically first taking the archeolog backup, then it is proceeding now with the data files backup, and once it is done, it is going to take the control file backup, and it will be done. So anybody is having any queries? Yes, definitely. Backup is a daily process. Otherwise, if at all any file is missing or crash occurred, it would be a difficult task to recover. No, we don't require to specify any name. Oracle will take by default some name on its own. Yes, definitely. Backup will be scheduled through a Unix utility called cron tab. So I will show you once we complete this admin topic. I will show you how we will be scheduling it. Okay. So let us stop the things today at this moment, and tomorrow we will continue with the rest of the commands, and we will look into the other concepts also. So thanks everyone for joining the call, and we'll be meeting tomorrow. Yes, Amir, we'll be having class tomorrow, and Sanjay, you can just drop me an email. I just need to go out, so you can just drop me an email and I will reply to that.